Mercury, the planet of messages, marketing, mercantile, and merchandising, communicating, and ideas, will be heading retrograde April the 21st, and he will continue to be in his retrograde motion until May the 14th in the sign of Taurus between 15 and 5 degrees. It's going to influence each of us in a new or different way depending on where this Taurus chunk of real estate falls in our 12 houses. We're going to go into some detail about a really cool aspect of this Taurus Mercury retrograde as he connects with Saturn in Pisces for the first time in 30 years, 3 times during this transit. And that's going to give you some place in your life specific to you where you're able to create new form and structure and stability, whether it's about your finances, about your love life, and we'll talk about why love life, or even about ideas and projects you wish to put into formidable creation and tangible action. Now let's talk about the dates of that too. April 5th, May the 12th, and May 19th, all of those dots will connect. Alrighty. So we're going to go into that for your sky. Get a cup of coffee, settle in. This might be a bit of a longer video. Why? Because I'm also going to talk about a very interesting aspect pattern between Hygeia and Mercury and the asteroid Wuhan for the collective. So we got your personal story and the collective narrative in the next maybe hour and 15 minutes ahead. So you might want to get a tea. Timestamps will be available to listen just for your sun, moon, and rising sign. So you can get your individual scoop after we talk about the collective. Alrighty. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Lori Lothy and I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac. I am a whole sign house astrologer and I'm basically using a lot of techniques from traditional or Hellenistic astrology, as well as a smattering of other stuff, a little bit of Vedic, a little bit of Babylonian, and all of that. If you're new to my channel as well and you want to subscribe, I'd so appreciate that. If you hit the like button, whether you're listening on a replay or in the live premiere, also, please help my channel grow. It really is what I'm loving to do right now. And so you help me feel excited about doing this work when you do subscribe or hit that like button. So thank you guys. Check my description box below for courses. I'm teaching Sky Reader coming up at the end of April. If you want to be your own astrologer, time your best life, it's your turn. It's your time to get into my 7-week course. Early bird discounts are on now until April the 22nd or 3rd. And I'm totally jazzed about a new app. And I'm going to take 30 seconds to say like very little about it because I've already pitched it in 3 different videos already. But it is called Aura, A-U-R-A. It is amazing, amazing, amazing app because I love hypnosis, meditation, sound baths, live coaching calls. It's kind of like a curated wonder bar, like a kind of smorgasbord of stuff with great push notifications. Totally cool to get your own kind of settings, you know what I mean? Like what you're interested in. And of course you just have a subscription to it. So I like it. It really works for me. I'm always excited to get something new on my push notifications. And if you want to try it out, check my description box below. They have 7 million people subscribed now, and they get got an app rating award for mindfulness and calm stuff from Apple. And I'm not going to spend too much time pitching it this video, but check it out. And honestly, Aura, A-U-R-A, in the description box below, my link. Yes, I'm a brand ambassador the month of April as I'm recording this. And if you want to try it out, go for it because you're going to get 25% off if you go past the free trial and you decide to stick with it if you use my code. So with nothing lost, nothing gained, get some meditation in, get some super sound baths, live calls, live coaching, also pre-recorded stuff and packages by various meditation and mindfulness teachers and coaches around the world. It's really, really cool. It's like, I don't know what to call it. It's very curated. Spotify for the mind and soul, I think is the way they try to pitch their story, but it's something unique. And so go check it out. Now that's done. Let's go back to astrology. Now, let's talk about Mercury retrograde, and then let's talk about the collective, and then let's talk about your sky. 1, Mercury retrograde has a bad name. Oh no, here comes Mercury retrograde. I'm going to miss my flight. My laptop's going to fry. I'm going to have a terrible miscommunication with someone. Well, maybe some of that's possible. This is Mercury in Earth-based Taurus. This is Venus's sign. Venus is in Gemini next door at the time. She's in a sign about communication. Possibly communication glitches won't be such a big deal. What I think is interesting about Mercury in retrograde in general, it's going back over old sky ground. Mercury goes forward, then stops, by virtue of our perception on this planet, doesn't really stop, but it looks like he's stopping and staying still, in this case at 15 degrees of Taurus. So yes, if you have planets near or around 15 degrees of Taurus, let's say 3 degrees on either side, those planets, or your sun, your moon, your rising sign especially, will really feel this retrogradation. And then he goes all the way back over ground he's trod over before in Taurus, all right? And it's going to be all the way back to 5 degrees before he stations direct. So certainly any planets at 5 Taurus, sun, moon, rising, especially any planets in general, will be embedded in this time of the retrogradation and the station direct. So in astrology, you'd pay attention to those. Of course, if you're a Taurus rising and there's a retrogradation in your sign, you're going to feel a lot more strongly as well. Now, this is a long retrograde cycle because basically you've got this planet, Mercury, moving through one sign during the entirety of this time. And it's called an elemental Earth year. According to astrologer Gary Caton, who I interviewed on my channel, we had this back in 2016. We had an elemental Earth year. That simply meant that Mercury spent 6 months in Earth signs, because he spent so much time in those Earth signs because he retrograded in the bounds of those Earth signs. So if that's something that interests you, go check out that video. I'll put the link in the description box below to understand the meaning of an elemental Earth year based on your rising sign. So basically we have this long stay of April the 3rd to June 11th of Mercury in Taurus. And within that, April 21st to May 14th, we have the retrograde cycle. Now, don't maybe do major things in your life that require success in commerce, marketing, merchandising, and selling during the retrograde. I am opening the course to my Sky Reader course before April 21st because I don't want to launch a course enrollment in the middle of a retrograde. But it's okay to do things you've done before in a retrograde. That's something you can consider. Go back and travel somewhere you've been before. Mercury's the patron protector of travels. Go back and study a course you've studied before. Go back and teach a course you've taught before. Go back and buy or sell something you've done before, but stay clear of any big, bold adventures and stuff when he's retrograde. Now let's talk about this retrograde specifically. We really want to see this because it's important. I really want you to bear with me because I will talk about your sky, those amazing April 5, May 12th, and May 19th dates that I want you to string together like beads on a necklace of mercurial meaning, as he will connect with Pisces/Saturn at that time. But before we go there, would you bear with me just a bit, just a smidgen, and check this out with me? All right. Like, I know some of you guys are impatient and you jump ahead, but I don't think you're going to want to miss this, honestly. This is what the sky looks like. I took out a lot of extraneous planets. Okay. Just trust me, on April the 21st, when he begins to retrograde around 1:30 in the afternoon in PST time. Don't look at the time on this. It's not set for perfection. I want you to note something. Okay. This is Mercury. He's at 15 degrees of Taurus, stationed retrograde. He is in what we call an opposition to this little squiggle called Wuhan. Yes, Wuhan. Now, Wuhan, Wu means military, Han means cold, military cold. Interesting that a COVID virus, a cold virus, coronavirus, was established in Wuhan. Military cold? I'm not going to say much more because a lot of you people don't get that stuff. But there you go. Wuhan is about overthrows of emperors and dynasties, because there was an emperor Wu who was overthrown, and there was a revolution in that part of the world of China, major business center in China in ancient history. So revolutions and overthrows, as well as pandemic virus onset, military cold, is a part of the Wuhan narrative. Wuhan at 12 degrees of Scorpio, also retrograde, is opposite Mercury at 15 degrees of Taurus, also retrograde, as he stations to retrograde on April the 21st. While this stationing is happening, you can see as well that Mercury is in a square to Hygeia. Hygiene, yes. She was very active during the pandemic. She's in Aquarius, we the people. Rules, regulations for we the people. Pluto, let's bust the doors down. He just got here. Hygeia is also about medical stuff, procedures, medicine, health, healing. She is squaring Mercury and squaring Wuhan. Now expect some news stories coming out around the 21st that are old news made new again. We're going to hear about pandemic health measures and protocols. We're going to hear about lab leak theory. I said about 3 months ago, lab leak is a thing. It's the real deal. I got slammed here for it. But guys, if you're not paying attention to reality right now, then you are out to lunch. Okay. The new consensus amongst the intelligence agencies, the Senate Intelligence Committee, and others, scientists most often now, are coming out to say this probably was an engineered virus. That was known by a lot of people early on. Now there's lots of news stories about the Fauci cover-up of the original suspicion that this was indeed lab leak and engineered. Okay, so why I want to bring your attention to this for the collective, expect something big coming out in the news around April 21st, give or take a day or two on either side, even maybe a week or two, I'm not sure, but there is precedence for this, okay, so I'm not making it up. So I want to talk about this story of Mercury squaring Hygeia, because Hygeia, during the entirety of Mercury's transit through Taurus, is in Aquarius. So because we make 3 passes of everything, it was April the 14th, Mercury moving direct, April the 14th, Mercury moving direct through the sign of Taurus, that he came into his first square with Hygeia at 13 degrees Aquarius, 13 degrees of Taurus. What happened in the news cycle then? One, there was a Nature article that was put out just around that time, a week before, talking about how they believe they found saliva samples in the Wuhan market that showed animal DNA in the samples of the saliva collections, etc. That does not prove the origin of the virus, but it was a Nature article, almost press piece, to suggest that yes, there was no lab leak. However, at the same time, preceding that and during that time, new scientists were coming out, news stories were emerging to suggest quite the opposite of that. We had the testimony of Robert Redfield. Yes, that guy in Congress who used to be the head of the CDC, saying that he felt he was ousted and elbowed out from the Fauci story, and any conversations about the pandemic being a lab leak, which he actually said publicly was most likely the case, were quashed, and he was basically edged out of any influential meetings. That news story was coming out around April the 14th. So why I'm bringing this up? Like, why would Lori talk about this? Because it's coming back. Mercury retrograde goes back over old ground to go back and say more about this thing, whatever it will be. Now, I could have had it wrong. It could be about other things to do with the pandemic health measures, and it could be about pharmaceutical industry interventions or monies that were involved in pharmaceutical, I don't know, in connections to politicians in power in other countries besides the US as well. But in general, you're going to see some news stories that are almost a post-mortem of the pandemic, whether it's a lab leak or other elements of the hygiene. Most people don't know that masks don't work, right? They don't know that. They go around wearing masks now. There's been 700 scientific studies that have now come out to show the masks basically do absolutely nothing, especially if it's a surgical or cloth mask. Yes, your N95, N95 could work if you wear it properly. You never touch it. When you touch it, you wash your hands. You never reuse it. But it's also only filters 95 to 97% of the particles of COVID out of your system, out of your mask. And so you can still get COVID wearing your N95. But that knowledge isn't public for some reason. Some people haven't gotten the memo, and therefore they are still wearing masks for no good reason. May as well just go out and get COVID, like for the 3rd or 4th time, like most people have. Switzerland just dropped all vaccines. No one's even getting vaccines there anymore at all. You can request one if you're immune compromised. Otherwise, they're done with the story. Where in the United States, for some reason, the CDC's got it on the vaccine menu for children in school, including recommendations for people at age 7 months to get their COVID vaccine. So we got a lot of disparity around the world, around the policies in this regard. And I expect maybe Mercury, the news, will come up with something here to talk about, what the latest stories are on this area. Now, moving forward, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so don't accuse me and don't tell me I don't know what I speak. I'm interpreting the sky based on the past, right? So the early April stories were what I just told you. What news stories will come out in the news cycle, okay, about the pandemic and about the COVID response and about the interventions on April the 21st, all right? Moving forward then, we'll have June the 7th, and it will once again be in play June the 7th. And June the 7th will be the last pass at 23 Aquarius to 23 Taurus. Expect the last salvo of news stories in that area. And if I take this thing back for you guys, I'm just going to do it for you and take you back to around the 12th. Not quite, I'm on the 7th, but it's close enough, right? You see there's Mercury and there's Wuhan directly, not exactly directly across from each other. Mercury has to move forward, but they're coming into an orb of opposition. So I'll do that for you. Well, not Wuhan per se, it's Hygeia that I'm calibrating for. So on the 14th, There we go. You can see Mercury at 13 degrees, and he's squaring Hygeia at 13. Moon, we the people, in the house of we the people. And there's the Wuhan story across the way at 14. So this keeps tracking that there's a Wuhan story. I want to bring your attention very briefly, but not for too long, onto Albion and this little doohickey here, Nemesis. They're tracking with Mercury through this whole story. Nemesis is divine justice and retribution. It's also about the downfall of, pride and hubris that leads to your calibrated, punishment. So what kind of stories around pride, hubris, punishment, divine retribution, and divine justice may be playing out on this narrative of those times of April 14th, April 21st, etc., and June 7th. Lastly, you can also see asteroid Albion tracking with Mercury, the high hill of ancient Britain, but it's often associated with doing things in rote manners, or because you're listening to the dogma from those on high. What dogma from those on high to do with health and hygiene and health challenges and Wuhan have been listened to by the world are now about to be addressed by this Mercury retrograde and then direct on June 7th. Get ready for some exciting, dramatic news stories because of Uranus. Shake up, tower moments. The ground is shaking under our feet like Carole King in Tapestry. And we will see some big reveals. Now, I know that whistleblower stories are in the news. That just happened. There was a whistleblower right now, as I'm doing this recording, on April 14th. There's been the whistleblower thing this week, all about the Pentagon leaked papers to do with the war in Ukraine and how Ukraine actually is not winning the war, and the United States might have to power fund to pull this off. Whistleblower energy is Mercury stuff, right? And so it's possible that what we're going to see is some more whistleblower stuff, but probably related to health and Wuhan stories, right? Not Pentagon and Ukraine stories. This doesn't look like war stories with Hygeia involved at all, or nothing to do with the war. So I thought I'd bring that up for the collective, for you to ponder. This is not something I'm going to talk about for you and your sign, for the simple reason that you're not likely, you may have to go back over some stories to do with news, study, health, but Wuhan won't be relative to your life, right? So I'm not going to go back and do this again. But in your own life, you may parse the April 14th, April 21st, and June 7th, Hygeia, health and health matters, hygiene, healing, Mercury news, information, details, that you're going back and forth over those matters in your own life. But it really also depends on which whole sign house is your Aquarius and your Taurus zone of influence. All right, next, we're going to move away from that, and we're going to talk about the sextile to Saturn. So basically, a sextile to Saturn, a sextile to Saturn, Mercury in Taurus, Saturn in Pisces, is flow, ease, it's structured stuff in good ways. Saturn brings structure and form, and it's positive, it's opportunity oriented, it's lucky, it's flowing, it's easy, it's a sextile, the nature of Venus. So these sextile, and I want to go back to one more thing. I apologize. During the April 21st event of the retrograde station, the retrograde station is happening conjunct an exalted moon in Taurus. There is that factor that must be acknowledged, really, because it's the inception point of the station that matters in terms of the pitch pipe or the long arc story of the retrograde itself. So the moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus, and actually at the time of the station, which is earlier in the day, it is conjunct Mercury. So it is not an unimportant detail. It has to be noted, right? I'm sorry this chart's spinning around. I didn't pin it to the Aries point, but there is a lot to say about that. Now you can see April 21st, there's the moon at 17, there's Mercury at 15. We've got a conjunction. This is an exalted moon ruled by that Venus. So we've got something important to do with, it could be a woman, a powerful female coming out in the news cycle with a big, oh my God, reveal. Like seriously, that's what it feels like to me. Or an exalted movement. We, the people, the lunar element can be the people, the masses, the populism, coming up and rebelling or saying something. Rebelling would work with the Albion thing there and the Uranus. There's something big happening here around the 21st. And with that exalted moon, it could be a powerful female coming out, being the whistleblower or being someone to correct the record or something like that. We'll see what happens. Maybe Was that the Burks chick that was hanging out with Fauci's going to come out with a book or something and go, I knew it was a lab leak all along, but I had to stay quiet and be a part of team, Fauci or something like that. Okay, I'm going to pause the recording, just very temporary. No, I'm not. I'm just going to get up and I'm going to read the Sabian symbol for 15 degrees of Taurus. And then we're moving on, talking about you and your sign on that 3 pass of sextiling Saturn in the sign of Pisces, with Neptune there to bring your dreams into reality through messages, merchandising, communication, selling, ideas. These are things that you're going to have a superpowered strength to, accomplish or pull off on the dates I gave you. April 5th, we'll go back and talk about that, May 12th and May 19th. Let me grab the Sabian Symbols book. Sorry, guys, I forgot to pull it out. I wasn't in my best planning mode today. So 15 Taurus, let's get going and take a look. Hey, are you listening in the live premiere? Are you one of my regulars? Crystalline Alchemist, Herbal Empress, Stephen the Jupiterian, Misbehaving LA Taylor. Oh my gosh, I love you guys. A Feral Writer, Citizen Vixen, the Crystalline Alchemist. If you're in the live, welcome, and please hit my like button, guys. Let's see. We at Mercury, 15 degrees of Taurus. What I'm simply doing is rounding up to 16. That's how you do Sabian symbols. You go up 1 degree, just so you know. So I'm in the Sabian symbols. There's 360 channeled symbols that represent different signs of the zodiac. This different degrees of the 360 degrees of the zodiac in different signs, and it's like a Zen koan in a lot of ways. You can make sense of it on your own, or you can read people's interpretations, basically. So 16 Taurus is a woman holding a bag out of a window. Keyword facilitation. Sorry. I apologize. Don't listen to me. Oh my God. Sorry, that was 18. 16 degrees of Taurus. In my Sabian Symbols book, an old man attempting vainly to reveal the mysteries. Oh, interesting. Old man attempting vainly to reveal the mysteries. Oh, that does feels like a bit of a tough one in terms of revealing something, doesn't it? So accent is on communication, getting your message across. Perfect for Mercury, trying to share your most intimate thoughts. It can prove frustrating. Finding the right way to get the message across is the theme, according to Elsie Wheeler. Is that who wrote this book? No, that's the channeler, Diana Roche. So I'm not a Sabian expert by any means. People make an entire career out of Sabians, but it's about communications and getting your message across effectively. But the concern of vain messages, not reaching the target audience, not being comprehensible. So, I can totally see that happening, because what else is new, right? So I mean, seriously, like a Nobel winning prize scientist could come out with a declarative proof statement, for instance, that this was a lab leak based on some scientific measures. Like when we look at the Fair and Cleavage site, we can definitely say that this could not happen in nature. And here's the living proof of it based on my analysis or something. And then everyone will go, oh, no, everyone says that it definitely occurred in a Wuhan lab. I mean, in a wet market in Wuhan. Does everyone know that there's a thing called parsimony? The simplest explanation is likely the most likely and true. And so, common sense dictates that if there's a coronavirus bat research lab doing gain of function research in Wuhan, and there's a viral onset outbreak in Wuhan, that there's something to be said about that. It is so obvious. And anyone could have noted that a long time ago, before any conversation about lab leaks was created as a misinformation, and people got kicked off platforms, including doctors and scientists. What has gone on with this world? Now let's move on to you. We're going to go through the all signs portion of this story. I will move the wheel here for us today rather than put the backdrop changes. The reason I'm going to move the wheel, because nothing's moving too quickly. We're not focused on the moon. We're focused on Mercury in Taurus and his retrograde station at 15 degrees. But the story I'm going to tell you is really about his sextile to Saturn. Just remember the dates: April 5th, 6th, kind of thing, April 11th, May 11th, 12th, and May 19th. You're going to find that those times are connected stories in your story of you. We're going to start with Aries. Yes, we are. And we're going to get going through this. I hope you didn't find that my perspective on the lab leak theory, which is now becoming the accepted reality according to intelligence agencies and the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee and more, is going to put you out of what is it? Don't get your panties all in a knot about it, okay? I don't have political beliefs, and I'm also not a U.S. citizen, okay? I'm a Canadian. I'm simply looking at the astrology. If there's an asteroid called Wuhan across sextiling a god for health and health protocols and hygiene, at squaring and across to Mercury, you can get the gist, right? It's a sky story. All right, let's go ahead and do Aries and move into the, sorry guys, I'm a little slow on that. Get Aries up and running. So I thought I had it ready to go. I didn't. Aries, 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 Aries. My time stamping sister, are you ready? Aries. Oh yeah, you're live in the premiere. Hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, do so. Check out my Sky Reader course below and let's get going. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. You guys are having this Mercury transit, retrograde station, whole story happening in the sign of Taurus. You got to watch what goes on in your money house for Aries rising, especially secondarily sun and moon people. Most accurate is your rising. Now, having a Mercury retrograde in a money house isn't a bad thing. You can go back over old financial strategies, old financial processes. For instance, I'm teaching Sky Reader. I'm an Aries sun and moon for the third time. Mercury retrograde just shows me that I'm going back to teach something I've done again before. That's all, and make money from it. That's not a big deal. Mercury retrograde here can also be a story in general about kind of wanting to refine your financial stuff, your earnings, resources, by stopping a bit and going back over strategies and ways that you make money. An old job can come back to you that you had before. You may backtrack on a job that you have now and decide maybe you might not want to be there. You might ruminate on it, that kind of thing. So don't get afraid of Mercury retrograde. It's not the end of the world, but that's the broad themes of the retrograde for you. And remember that, it depends on, your natal Mercury, how strong he is or weak he is, how well all of your Mercury retrogrades go, or if you're born with Mercury retrograde. But anyway, so then you don't mind Mercury retrograde as much as the rest of us. Look for synchronicities and magic when Mercury's retrograding though. So this April 21st to May 14th, some backtracking, old ground. For me, it's just teaching a course I've taught before to make money. No big deal. I want you to think about the dates I already outlined though, and I'm going to repeat them again just in case you didn't listen to the intro. There's going to be a sextile to Saturn in your 12th house, and that sextile between Mercury and Saturn in your 12th house is positive. You could be bringing some solid and tangible and lasting good rewards here from Saturn to Mercury. This can be a money story. If you make money from revenue from foreign lands and foreign shores, it's very possibly all about money, because you can generate revenue through PayPal, Stripe with international customers or clients, or you're going to have a job offer from a foreign land coming to you or something like that. Saturn in the 12th house is doing that with Mercury in the second. News and information coming from foreign lands that have a very positive influence in your life as well, or some positive developments financially connected to somebody in backroom deals and negotiations from who has authority and power to positively influence you in your money narrative. Okay. And basically what I think you want to do is put the dates on the calendar and go, what was I doing April 5th, 6th in those parts of my story that can now come back for more attention during the retrograde Mercury cycle on May 12th. And again, the direct motion around May 19th. That's going to finalize that story for you. Anything else I can say? Second house is what you put in your mouth, what you eat. Mercury does research. You could be researching food styles, things like that. And maybe Saturn in the 12th is helping you stabilize some food style by giving you the discipline and the focus you need, especially if you're meditating or you're doing spiritual types of practices, because that Saturn 12th house transit can do that. Like if you're an Aries rising, you're going to get deeply more stabilized around your authentic spirituality. Mercury does like to learn. Saturn can activate the learning axis. Some of you may be finding a new path of learning that you love. And then Mercury is helping you get the learning to be financially viable Okay, learning and teaching themes to be financially viable in this retrograde cycle. Good luck with that, guys. I didn't talk about the retrograde shadow time and all of that, but you know, a lot of this retrograde stuff, shadow-wise, is still you'll feel the vibe of a retrogradation until the 31st of May. That's a shadow period for the retrograde. Probably just said something I didn't need to say because I'm not going to repeat that for everyone. No, I'm not. All right, moving on. And we have the Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising folks, people, rising sign folk, people. I can speak English. And I'm at April 20th here. I should go ahead by a day. I don't know why I'm in this day. I apologize. It's just my calendar was flipping to get to the Aries rising. So we're on the 21st, to remind you. And the retrograde station, remember, do you have planets 15 degrees or 5 degrees of Taurus? Well, if you're a Taurus rising or sun or moon, if you have planets near that 5 and 15 degrees, I'd like to say 3 degrees on either side, you're really going to have a lot of momentum around this retrograde, a lot of energy packed into it. Now, if you look at this sky and you can see your Taurus first house has everybody in there, Albion and Nemesis and the moon and Uranus and Mercury and the North Node and the sun. Ooh, it's a powerhouse time for you. Taurus rising, especially sun and moon secondarily, you're really focused here in these retrograde time, especially on something you need to go back and do. This very much about your own ideas, your own messages. You may have to recommunicate something to someone that you've already tried to do, especially if it involves anything to do with career space stuff. Hygeia, you know, up there, healing or cleaning up, or the work hygiene through your messaging, but not necessarily all about career. I like the sextile from Saturn though, because that's the thing that really is new. You haven't had it in 30 years. Saturn hasn't been in Pisces to sextile Mercury in the house of you. So you're going back over some old ideas, some old thoughts, some old messages. You might even be going back over old emails or old texts or old diaries or something. You're pulling back, going backwards on something. But as it pertains to your friendships, your larger social group networks, your groups of belonging, and your financial gain from your career where Saturn is traveling. So look to April 5th, May 12th, and May 19th, around those dates for developments that may have to do with great gains from your career, that you're inciting some developments there, to do with, you know, revising your dreams and wishes for your life, Saturn giving you more realistic dreams and wishes, focusing you more on more grounded and tangible and reliable and serious and solid and sober plans and dreams for your life. Some of you could hear from an old friend, a karmic friend, or a friend who's older than you, or you could hear or get back in touch with some kind of group, like a club or a group of belonging, and you may be messaging or thinking of rejoining. Things like that can happen in this retrograde. I think to harness it, I say, if you have a dream that you really want to bring into form, because Neptune up here has made your dreams kind of formless, right, since 2011. Now Saturn in the next 3 years trying to buckle down and make some form here. And so every spring Saturn will work with Mercury. It's about your ideas. It's about your thoughts. It's about your messages that can bring your dreams and into form in a way that you have never experienced in your life and won't be able to create for another 3 years. Another 30 years. So this next 3 years of Saturn, Mercury, Saturn, Mercury, Saturn, Mercury is significant, to say the least, right? For you. An exalted moon is lovely in the house of you, of course. It's a new moon, you're a new beginning, a fresh start, but you're going back over old ground, retracing your steps in order to have a fresh start, a powerful, exalted, fresh start in your health. I almost forgot to say that. So yeah, health is part of the body, and now you're going to research or understand or do something to improve your health. So yeah, April 5th, May 12th, May 19th. What is that? Hygeia as well is suggesting improvements to your health. So a lot of this for some of you guys is health related, and improvements to your physical form, especially your appearance and how the world sees you, is going on for a lot of you Taurus rising, sun and moon people. All right, moving forward. Well, there's a god of revolution in your descendant axis. So watch for like a tower-like moment regarding a significant relationship, especially marriage type or business partner type, that could be going on during the retrograde, but also an attempt to restore something as well by going back over old ground, that kind of thing. Okay, moving forward. Oh, I'm going by days. Ugh, sorry. Ugh. hours. I want to move by hours, and we move forward. All right. So Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. The energy here is something like, pay attention to your dreams at night. I mean, come on. The 12th house, very dream house. And, you know, Mercury is going to talk to Neptune later in this transit, closer to the end. And closer to the very end of this transit, as the whole cycle winds down in the, you know, first week of June, you know, your dreams are especially powerful. So your nocturnal dreams, okay, is what I mean, not your fantasy dreams, are on the dream messenger highlight. Mercury is a messenger of the gods, and he's known in history of ancient mythology to be involved in dream messages. So pay attention to your insights, your dreams, your meditations, all of those things where you get pineal gland downloads, Mercury with Uranus, that are going to be not doing anything by dogma or rote, for sure, because of Albion, and also a sense of fresh new beginning, because this is an exalted new moon in the house of your 12th house endeavors. If you make money from revenue from foreign shores, new ideas, new marketing strategies, new revenue sources coming through your sky, most likely, especially connected to your career, Saturn will spend for a lot of the Gemini rising sun and moon the next 3 years helping you become the expert authority, the masterful authority boss type of your own career path. If you don't like your career path, though, over the next 3 years, Saturn can change your career path. If you're a storyteller, a visual person, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Reels, this is going to be a powerful 3 years for you, because Saturn in the highly visible 10th house, connecting with Neptune up there, will bring you a great deal of authority using those modalities as well. All right. This is just going to feel like a lot of energy around, you know, sort of the potential pullback drawstring for things you're dreaming, or in downloads of insight that you're having that could then bust through as some exceptional career momentum during this time. Pay attention to April 5, 6. What were you doing then? That will also activate May 12th and May 19th with support from Saturn in your career and authority space. I'm sorry for the dinging sound. I do not have do not disturb on. So when that happens, I'm always frustrated, and honest to God, I have no idea what it is. But I'm going to try to make sure I quit the mail feature. Mail quit, and hopefully that does the trick. All right. A lot of you are laughing at how much construction I had going on outside my house in the last few videos. So, and someone just walked into my house and scared me, so it's all good. So we're going to move past the Gemini people, but I'll say one more thing about you. With Venus in your first house, okay? This is an energy of you being more persuasive, charismatic, beautiful, seductive, effectively being Miss Congeniality, Mr. Congeniality. And that energy is important because that exalted moon on this station, the station at 15 degrees, is Venus's moon, right? So she's also allowing you to take some of that 12th house energy and pull it into the place of, look at me, aren't I amazing? So look for career upgrades as well, and sort of a sense of accomplishment or exceptional good things happening, lucky things happening during this weirdly auspicious retrograde time for you. And I'm not going to talk about the degrees because Mercury's in inversion to your ascendant, but should your midheaven, MC, okay, be in Pisces, if the floating MC and whole sign houses is in Pisces anywhere near 15 degrees, then of course, as a Gemini rising, especially, this is going to be extremely positive for your career and reputation story. All right, let's look at that and tell me how it goes, Gemini rising. Keep in touch. I'd like to hear. Don't forget, if you're in the live premiere and you haven't hit my like button, go ahead and do so. You can hit the subscribe button too, and that even helps more. Be an algorithmic jump starter for me if you don't mind, and help my channel grow. And let's get going and talk about the Cancer rising, sun and moon folk. Well, first of all, this is a Mercury retrograde in a positive house. Your 11th house of good spirit is what it's called in the ancient tradition. It's a house of good things, karmic rewards, pennies from heavens, friends and benefactors and allies, great gains from your career, sometimes fame, positive stuff, right? Your dreams and goals and wishes for your life, your groups of belonging, and all of that energy up there. What a stellium you're having. Look at that, Cancer rising. This can really bring you some kind of auspicious recognition, some large gains from your career. Now we're talking Mercury retrograde, so think about it this way. Where would you pull back, go back between April 21st and May 14th, and try to consolidate something here that you've been working on before. Sometimes it's people from your past, an old friend, an elder sibling coming into your story more directly in a very supportive way for your momentum in your career and reputation energies and your great gains from your career, etc. If you're, a Cancer rising and your ascendant's at 15 degrees, or later for the station direct 5 degrees, near those points of station retrograde, station direct, this is going to have a lot more influence and impact on you. And basically, you'll really feel it a lot more if you're sensitive, if you have an ascendant or a sun or moon at those sensitive points of the sky. I want to say something, a lot of people go, oh, I didn't get the good luck of the Jupiter Gazemi and yada, yada, yada. First of all, you have to look at your own chart. Like if you have a negative Jupiter in your chart, debilitated Jupiter, you're not going to get as much Jupiter juice out of the Jupiter in the sky. So for you, Cancer, you're ruled by the moon, right? The moon is your lord, your planetary ruler. And therefore, this is an exalted moon, an exalted, powered up, super juiced moon in the 11th house of great gains from your career. And therefore, this is going to be very positive for you. The moon is in such good condition. With the moon ruled by Venus, backroom deals and negotiations involving women in foreign lands can be supportive, or financial prosperity from revenue you generate from many countries around your world that aren't your natal home are very good here. Some fiscal hygiene being called forth in your chart. You'll be able to do that. But more importantly, Saturn sextile from your 9th. Are you a teacher? Are you a guide, a mentor? Are you an assistant to people in power? Are you a hand of a queen or a king role? If any of those are true for you, or are you trying to get a book written or published? Yes. So I know a Cancer rising who's doing that. This can be really a 2 Cancer rising, a really positive time for getting the agent, getting the contact you need, getting the book publisher to agree, getting something going. Because Mercury retrogrades, you're going to know this publisher, know this agent. Somebody from the past is putting you in touch. An ally, a friend goes, yay, I know a publisher. You tried that out. Court matters can go well because someone from the past comes through to support you. Pay attention to April 5th. May 12th and May 19th around foreign lands and travel, courts and court cases, books and book publishing, positive developments, support from elder sibling and friends in high places, friends who have power to help you. So this is a positive time. I don't see a downside. Certainly if you've been involved in legal battles, Saturn rules your contracts and agreements house, and you could close the deal out and make sure that everything settles well for you. And then sometimes visas and passports and travel passports are things to do with the 9th house. When Mercury's retrograde, you can travel to another country. I wouldn't worry about it in this chart, not with a sextile to Saturn. It could literally be like a retrograde because you had to renew your passport or something like that. Alrighty, so positive developments for you and your career gains, for sure. Friends and allies helping you. Look for that. Story as a Cancer rising. Now I need to get something to eat, so I'm going to pause. I'm going to get a little chocolate truffle, and I'll be right back. I need a chocolate truffle moment. I'm not even going to pause. I'll pause the recording just to be a courtesy pause for you guys. Okay, guys, I'm back. I just had a really delicious chocolate truffle, and I didn't eat in front of you at all, so no one can complain about me eating on camera. I guess people have mastication fears, and let's get going. I find people sometimes very odd. And let's see if I can find the actual screen. Yeah. So we're moving on to the Leo rising, sun, moon, and Leo rising, but sun and moon secondarily. Your rising will be most accurate. This is a retrogradation, as I said in the beginning, of the planet Mercury. He will retrograde from April 21st to May 14th, and he will station retrograde at 15 degrees. Now, this is all happening in your 10th house of career. See that stellium at the top of the sky in that 10th house? Big energies up there. A lot of this is going back over old ground about how you wish to present yourself visibly in the world, what actions you want to take that others see you doing, 10th house things. And basically, as this retrograde happens, it's stationing at 15. It's going to influence you, Leos, sun, moon, and rising, with your sun, moon, rising degree near 15, okay? Like within 3 or 4 degrees, you're going to feel it more strongly, and you may be pulled back. To pull back, like go back to an old job, to reassess your career, to reassess your purpose, like your visible actions, to think about new ideas, to have some communications from an old boss or old colleague from an old position of work. You may have to go through some renegotiations around something to do with your career and work, or to negotiate a new contract. And sometimes if you're unemployed and looking for work, this can be getting a job or renewal of a contract to do with a place you've worked before. Now, because Mercury retrograde is with an exalted moon, there's a lot of juice up there in the sky, and Venus in the house of allies and friends may participate. Maybe you're going to get some kind of great gain, a raise, a promotion, or some kind of favor from a friend. Because the retrograde, though, is also going back over old ground, this is nothing new. You've been hoping for it, expecting it, or now you're cobbling together the details for that. If you do any kind of career where you message the world using the internet, Zoom, technology, Uranus up there, you may be having some maybe learning something about how to do it differently, learning a new tool, learning how to use some kind of video program for the first time. Mercury can rule that learning process up here. But more or less, the vibe is, 23 days of going back over some old ground in the career space or the reputation space. You got a lot of support from Saturn, of course. And Saturn in the 8th house of chunky money could give you all kinds of developments, like you could get a loan or a grant or a business loan or some money from somebody in a chunk that helps you revise, refine, work on something to do with your career. This can also look like a retirement thing. Like some of you may just step away from your work and, get your 401k up and running, or a stock can pay off that supports you to make some choices to revise the way you do your work and career. Sometimes secrets are the 8th house positive reveals, Mercury the messenger, of things that were hidden from your view that influence you both in your finances and in your career success. And even something as simple as a tax rebate that surprises you could look like a Saturn sextile to Mercury. Watch what you're doing April 5 and 6. Are you filing your taxes? What are you doing then May 12th and 19th? That also connect to the theme of money from the house of taxes. It's all positive. Could be like you get a refund and you can buy yourself a new laptop or computer or whatever for the work you're doing in the world. Sometimes a Mercury retrograde is pulling back from something you were moving toward, right? So maybe April 5th and 6th, you're moving towards something to do with a career opportunity, and you think it has some good financial implications for you. Maybe it does, but then there's a pulling away, a delay. The job's not going to open yet because the person who was leaving wants to stay an extra few months, or weird stuff like that can happen here. But for the most part, it feels like a really positive time. You can't complain, right? With the exalted moon there. Don't do things on rote, autopilot. Don't do things you're told because you're told to. We have Mercury retrograde with Albion up there. Find your own path here. A lot of energy, North Node transit through Taurus for you guys since the beginning of 2022 through to the midway of July of 23. You're focused a lot on expanding your career and finding new ways to be successful in career. And so that's some of what's going on as well. And that's about it. That's all I have for you. Look for female friends as well. Venus and your ruling that exalted moon with that conjunction of the exalted moon. Look for women who are allies who can really support you, or an elder sibling. And lastly, did I say, 5 degrees, Mercury stationing direct later in the narrative, right? That's going to happen on Brain Come Back Online, May 14th. So if you're a Leo sun or rising or sun, or moon, and that is near the 5th degree, I'd just say, 0 degrees, maybe to 8 degrees, you're going to feel this quite intensely as a real new momentum and a feeling of moving forward quite significantly in career, and maybe some money stuff as this retrograde station's direct and can shift things to do with your home, your career, and sometimes your significant relationships as well. Okay, it depends on the degree of your Leo, sun, moon, and rising. All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign people. Uh-oh, am I recording? Shoot, I am. Good. I had a feeling that I had forgot to put it back on. All right. So everyone knows my daughter is a Virgo rising. My best friend is a Virgo rising, Virgo sun, surrounded by the Virgos of the world. It's crazy. So my son's a Virgo sun. All right. Virgo rising, Mercury's the lord of your sky, right? I should have said that for Gemini, but it's extremely important to pay attention to what he does. He's in an elemental earth here, jazzing up, the house of your body, the house of romance, love, and creativity and independent business, and jazzing up your travel, foreign shores and foreign lands, and academics house, the ninth, during the year of 2023. With 6 months in those signs. So you go watch my Gary Caton video, please. I'll put the link in the description box that I did talking about the elemental earth here of Mercury. So Mercury is moving through the sign of Taurus, which is academia, colleges, campuses, higher learning, places of churches and shrines and temples, foreign shores and foreign lands, things to do with courts and legal matters, as well as book publishing. Now, Virgo rising people, Mercury retrograde is a god of protection when you travel. So that's good to have him up here if you're traveling, and he's retrograding. So you may go to travel to a place you've been before. That's so simple. Like during this retrograde, my daughter will be in Mexico, in a place she's traveled before many times with me. Mercury, god patron of travelers in a house of foreign lands, is going backwards, right? When she's there. So it's sometimes very literal, this stuff. A court matter may have a delay. It may go back and have to be looked at it again. Or legal matter may have to have a second opinion, but things will work out for you. Things in academia will work out. You'll get the great teacher, the perfect course, a fine grade, a great result from your exams. You got Saturn supporting you here. And that's some amazing support from the 7th house, especially for legal contracts and matters. But this is April the 5th, May the 12th and May 19th, 3 stories, right? Go back in time, what was going on in the academia, in the foreign travel, in the book publishing, in the religious temples, shrines, knowledge and wisdom place, because May 12th and 19th, they're back. Saturn moving through your 7th house can make your significant relationship, especially love, more hard, but also is asking you, if you have one, to make it more solid. And so keep that in mind, because this Saturn in the house of, in quotes, marriage is in a sextile to this Mercury. So if you do travel with the one you're with, you're especially prone to having something positive happen that solidifies your relationship because of that travel. With an exalted new moon in this 9th house during the actual station retrograde, baking in an energy here, there's a fresh new beginning, there's a fresh start. And Venus in the 10th house of career is also saying some positive developments in work and career may come because of 9th house matters. Maybe just taking a week off of your work or your career allows you to go back, refresh later on. Or maybe you're a digital nomad and you're working on a beach somewhere, but whatever's happening is all good for you people who are Virgoian. And we're going to continue with the story. Oh, and some good news for your health as well, because Hygeia is in the house of health, trying to help you straighten it out in a beautiful trine to Venus, around the 21st. So this does solidify some health challenges. Venus rules a new fresh start. Honestly, God, it could be that you read a book, or you take a course, or you go on a trip, and all of those help rejuvenate and refresh you in a very positive way. If your rising sign Virgo is trining you, all those actions flowing to you is anywhere near 15 degrees. Rising sign, sun and moon, there's a lot of flow and ease and grace that comes through the sky and opportunity. Trines are the nature of Jupiter. So even though Mercury's retrograde, he's bringing good things. And as Mercury stations direct on the 5th of the month, if your sun, moon, or rising Virgo is near 5 degrees, of course, you're going to feel it more strongly as a more of a bounding forward quality. Yeah. My daughter's like late degree Virgo rising, so she's getting more juice from the retrograde than she is from the station direct, right? But you all get something. Moving on to the next sign. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, I like the exalted moon here for you. You're ruled by Venus, right? We'll talk about it. Okay, for number one, the main thing I would say is definitely a lot of money stuff could be going down here. Mortgages, bank loans, stock market stuff, things to do with inheritances too, Libra. I mean, you're doing a lot of money stuff. That's a stellium in your 8th house of other people's money, non-earned income. So certainly getting a mortgage, getting a loan, refinancing, credit card stuff, tax rebates, tax filings, all of this stuff is extremely busy for you. during this time. Now, Mercury will be retrograding here. Obviously, I mentioned the whole point of the video, but let's keep refreshing our memory of it. April 21st to May the 14th. That retrogradation cycle is about going back over old ground in the areas I just described. So some of this could be, revising your taxes, doing a new bookkeeping path, finding an old stock that you had before and buying it again, changing your mind about an investment strategy. Mercury retrograde can sometimes be a change of mind. Mercury in the house of mortgages retrograde, buy a property you've seen before, close a deal in a property you've seen before, renegotiate the terms of a property settlement or something like that. If you start the process before Mercury's retrograde, especially positive. April 5th and 6th, for example, Mercury in its first sextile forward momentum to a Saturn in your sixth house of debts, tenancies, and pets, and work and health. There's positive flow between those areas, 6 and 8. On April 5th, May 12th, and May 19th. May 12th is the going backwards version of it. But forward and onward we go around May 19th with most things straightening out. Given that Saturn's involved, he rules real estate in your house, your fourth house of property, home, and real estate. So this is also legacy wealth. Some of you are dealing with inheritance monies. Some of you are dealing with monies that are connected to property sales or purchases or rentals, okay? During this transit of Mercury retrograde, Mercury going direct, of course, will get you into forward momentum and things will look really good. On the 19th, as he sextiles Saturn for the last time, you find the perfect renter or lease something, a property. You manage to consolidate a debt, refinance a debt. All of this is possible for most Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising people. And simply like, by the time you get to May 19th, you're just probably signing a new document to do with property, some kind of documentation, maybe. I think that's everything. I mean, secrets belong to the 8th house. Mercury definitely spills secrets. Some of you may be having some news or information come to you, especially if it involves family of origin. Mom and dad, things about your childhood or your ancestral line could be showing up in a positive way. Mercury going retrograde is, old news becomes available for you to find out about. An exalted moon here, though, a new beginning, a new start feels good. And Venus is in a flow towards your ascendant, rules the exalted moon. So positive legal matters could also be an out picture that benefit you financially in this transit from April 21st to May 14th, with that's the retrograde time, with a lot of juice around May 19th for good outcomes, as he's going to be in touch with Saturn in a positive way while going forward. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. I think that I am restless. I want to go outside and sit on my sunny deck. So let me finish up with you guys. I'm feeling already like I need a glass of wine. It's only what time in the day. And I said I wasn't going to drink any wine. It's 3:44 in the afternoon. My Patreon community gets all of this content ad-free, ahead of the curve, well before you guys, sometimes up to a month before. Want to join for $5 a month? Come check me out. You can always quit. It's easy. It's free to quit. No big deal. You just hit I don't want to subscribe button on Patreon and they stop charging you the $5 a month. So check that out if you are at all curious. And finally, if you're in the premiere, hit my like button. And if you haven't subscribed, why not? You can always unsub if you don't like me. So it's just a trial run of subscribing. Then you get notifications, of course, especially if you hit the bell when I post new content. I have contests all the time. Why not jump in? All my subscribers are there to win stuff from me. I gave away 10 prizes in my last video. Readings, courses for free, stuff like that. All right. Scorpio rising, been through a hard time, right? South node transiting through your first house, all of 22, midway 23, letting go, changing your identity, releasing, surrendering, hopefully not having too many challenges to your physical vitality and health. That's coming to an end, goodness gracious, this July. But we're not talking eclipses here. No, we're not talking the South Node, but just have to always say that when I see you Scorpio risings, that's been going on for you. Now we have it in something new here. We have a retrogradation, an elemental earth year, Mercury retrograding and spending like dog's age in your 7th house, by the way. So yeah, there is the April 3rd to June 11th long stay of Mercury in the house of spouse, in the house of business partner, audience, client, marketplace, and the people you talk to, sell, share your wares with. Your clients are there, audience, customers. Well, you might be very busy focused on them. Look how many people, how many planets are there. It's a new moon, a fresh start, a new beginning. It's an exalted new moon energy here. What new beginning is happening for you in this part of the sky? And the Cazimi itself, the Mercury station on 15 degrees is kind of energetically as April 21st to May 14th, suggesting going over some old commitment, communication, vows, verbal agreements with a partner, love or business, okay? That said, a former lover, partner, business partner, love partner can come back from the past as Mercury retrogrades. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't hear from someone from your past, April 21st to May 14th, or just a significant person in your life coming out of the woodwork with an email or a phone call during the retrograde. Now, Saturn is giving you support from the fifth house of entrepreneurship. So if you're an entrepreneur or independent business person, this is really good for reaching out to your marketplace, audience, clients, etc. Also really good for romance. It's going to have more of an enduring quality. Saturn wants enduring love, lasting romance in the fifth house. Venus is the ruler of the exalted moon. And that can be also secret relationships that are going to last. You may start a new relationship that you keep under wraps and don't tell anybody about, but it could end up becoming quite viable. But wait till Mercury goes direct to know that, okay? And that will be, as I said, 1,000 times over May 14th. Business deals that have financial implications for stocks, refinances, mortgages, and inheritances can be activated because Venus is a ruler of the exalted moon. It's conjunct the Mercury station, and she's in the house of inheritances. So Pluto in the fourth house, Venus in the eighth. Some of you Scorpios are looking at legacy money from your family of origin upline, maybe being delivered or acknowledged or coming through, or developments around that time in that theme. Go back to April 5th, May 12th, and May 19th. Those are all dots that should connect in some way regarding themes of romance, fertility, children, independent business enterprise, creative projects that may connect to money or fame or clients, like an exalted moon conjunct Mercury. Did you write a song or put out a book or something ages ago and all of a sudden it's getting airplay or it's getting attention from an audience? That's very possible with this guy. It really, really is. For any of you creative Scorpios. I have a Scorpio girlfriend who's written 3 books. I think they're all amazing. They're fiction. And her name is Robin Rice. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of those gets something option for a screenplay or something. So things like that can come out of this kind of sky, especially the screenplay idea, because Mercury will be flowing to Neptune, Mr. Screenplay God and Mr. Film God. So for some of you, it's a really outlier, but it's a possibility. All right. Moving into the next sign. Good luck, Scorpio. Wishing you the best during the retrograde. Oh, and certainly, of course, Mercury stations at 15 degrees, right, to retrograde on April 21st. Oh, are you a Scorpio rising at 15, near 15, or sun moon near 15 degrees Scorpio? Yes, you'll feel it more strongly. You'll really be pulled into the vortex of going back over old ground around contracts, negotiations, legal matters, vows, primary significant love partners or business partners. Then, if you're a 5 degree Scorpio rising, sun or moon, of course, when the bounding forward May 14th station direct happens, you feel it a lot more. Lots of yay, you bounding forward in new directions in those themes I've already covered. All right, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. So fiery Sag people, you have this in your 6th house. It's in the work and health house where Mercury will be forever, April 3rd to June 11th. You're spending a lot of time focused then perhaps on work and health matters. 6th house could be pets, tenancies, and debts, to remove debt from your life, karmic and real. So Mercury can definitely help you do debt relief in this part of the sky. There's an exalted moon in your conjunct your Mercury station on April 21st. And quite possibly you're going to go back and do some refinancing because the moon rules the house of mortgages and credit card debt. And a lot of you Sagittarius may be looking at how to parse your money story in order to benefit you in a very positive way by going backward over old ground. Sometimes just Mercury going backwards can be like looking at the books, coming up with new ideas, new plans. You could go back and renegotiate a lease. You could go back and to the old breeder and get a new pet, that kind of thing. Look at the fine print, of course, when Mercury's retrograde on any legal contracts and documents. He's not as always as focused as he normally would be. But with Venus in his sign and he's in Venus's sign, I'd even talk about the mutual reception. I don't know why. That's going to make that a little sweeter than it normally would be. And, qualitatively finding Saturn supporting things from the fourth house is really lovely. I mean, Saturn in the fourth house of property, land, and real estate, home and home life is saying, well, we're going to consolidate something in the property, land, and home and real estate story of your life. What could be really strongly supported here is the buying of a home or a selling of a home or a leasing of a home during this transit and having a new beginning as a result of it. And Venus in the seventh can be a woman helping you seal the deal, a woman real estate agent, woman leasing agent, a woman negotiating agent, something like that. Certainly, you can also be working with your chunky money, your stock market, your 401k, because the exalted moon owns that part of the chart. So yeah, that kind of stuff going through your sky. For your health, Mercury can often be, lab tests coming back and going back over old tests to do them again and stuff like that. I feel pretty positive with the mutual reception between Venus and Mercury that health matters will work out for you because you've got an exalted moon, new beginning here for better health for you as a Sag rising, especially sun and moon secondarily. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. If you're a Capricorn, this is a flow. This is like a whole stellium of planets in Taurus, right? Loving you up, sending beams of good luck and opportunity, called a trine back to you. So for Cap risings, especially sun and moon secondarily, it's very auspicious. Even a retrograde can be auspicious because Mercury is retrograding in a house that's associated with luck and good things and love and vitality and children and romance and fertility. All right. So and independent business, endeavors like being your own boss. So this is really good for you guys in that regard. And it certainly is Mercury retrograding in a romance house. It's always like April 21st to May 14th. And back comes your old lover from the back end of, who knows where with an email, phone call, text, hopefully not stalking you on social media, but you'll hear from them. There's probably a good probability of that. And with this Venus energy, this is Venus's house and she's in the sixth house. It's a dating house. Some of you Capricorns will begin dating somebody new, but there's a new moon in the romance house and it's a new beginning and it's exalted and it's connected to the past. So even if it's a new dating opportunity that starts on April 21st through to May 14th, it's someone you've known or will have known of or heard about before. Capricorn rising 15 degrees, sun, moon, Capricorn's 15 degrees, near those degrees, as Mercury stations on the 21st to retrograde, you feel it more strongly. And the 5-degree Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising get the most oomph out of the station direct on May 14th. Now, the support from Saturn in the third house of pubs, restaurants, movie theaters, local neighborhood environment, short distance travel. Some of you Capricorns may travel not that short a distance because Mercury rules foreign lands for you as well. So let's just say a lot of you could look at this as something you're going back to on a trip to a place you've been before. My Capricorn ex-husband, his name is Fergus, is Cap rising. He will be traveling back to Portugal during this retrograde to look for some real estate property stuff. So going back and traveling to a place you've been before, but having some positive, tangible results. What's going on April 5, 6, May 12th, and May 19th in the themes of trips, travel, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews, skills-based learning and teaching, the online world, and your local neighborhood. All of those third house meanings are going to be really active on those dates as it connects to romance, fertility, children, independent business enterprise, and some money luck even. And tendencies especially, or things to do with pets, are also a part of the narrative because Venus, Lord of the exalted moon, is talking to Mercury as he stations from the sixth house. Finally, if you have someone in your life, significant other, love story, this is good for that because the exalted moon in the house of sexuality and romance, new moon energy, connected to that Mercury, is ruler of your significant committed love partnership. So it can consolidate as a very strong trip you take with a loved one or some journey I don't know, something you do in the local neighborhood that can lead to a lasting commitment. Saturn wants lasting commitment. Yes, he is squaring Venus, but she's past the square now. So love is hard now becomes love is possible, and maybe love is easy. And Venus is going to smooth out your health challenges as well. So that's a positive thing as well, as Venus is, loving up the sickness house. So you may be recovering or have recovered. That's fine. She's also supporting you towards greater management of your money and wealth. And we'll do a whole other video on that. Check out my Venus video as she moves through Gemini to get the deets on how you can have greater financial success because of this transit for you Capricorn rising people. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. Oh, are you in the live premiere? Did you hit the like button? Have you subscribed? If not, why not? Check out my Patreon community. They get this ahead of the curve with no ads for $5 a month, and they meet with me twice a month. And if you have never checked out my Sky Reader course before, I'm teaching it for the third time on April 29th. Yes, Mercury's retrograde, but I taught it before. Add 10 weeks and 7 weeks. Come be your own astrologer. Time your best life. I love teaching this class. All right, group class, live calls, replays available. All right, moving on. Aquarius, me, rising, sun, moon people, I guess I'll include you. We are important to the world. We are the new spearhead for humanity. I'll tell you why in another video. But we are experiencing this transit of Mercury retrograde, April 21 to May 14th in our fourth house of property, home, land, and real estate. Retrograde, go back over something you've done before. You could do something from home that you've done before, or you could go back to an old homeland. You may travel. He's a patron of travelers, back to your hometown, your country of origin, and things like that during April 21st to May 14th. Now, you could also just go back to something you did when you were a child. This is a childhood house, and do it again or get involved in it again. Certainly there could be some changes here that may occur during this long transit to do with where you live and the finances involved in home and real estate. Now, the reason I say that is that, April 5th, May 12th and 19th all connect to Saturn in your earnings and money house, helping you stabilize and form greater earning strategies and success in the next 3 years. And that will happen because he's the Lord of your sign. And so to some degree, you get good results from him. And you will also find that probably by May 14th, but certainly by May 19th, there's some good news or positive news developing regarding property, land, and home. Venus is in a money luck house where she's prone to win lotteries. If you're an Aquarius rising, watch my Gemini, Venus and Gemini video. It's out now. It's doing well because you might learn about ways to parse this and win some money. Bottom line, you could win money here. This can be in many ways, but lucky money breaks that look like wins, soon gains the chance are very possible for Aquarius risings. Venus in the fifth house. So is fertility, having babies, or falling in love. Sexuality and romance are all on the menu. This exalted new moon, though, that's conjunct the Mercury station retrograde on April 21st, suggests a fresh new beginning is trying to emerge in the place called property and home. But all new moons take 6 months to unfold. This Mercury retrograde may be pivotal in helping you rehome yourself, basically. That's what it looks like. So pay attention to what happens April 21st to May 14th. If your rising sign Aquarius, sun or moon are anywhere near 15 degrees, which mine is, this is a critical retrograde for you. He stations direct at 5 on May 14th. Those early 5-degree Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising also get a huge boost as he moves forward. And you're going to find things to do with the fourth house themes active, very important for you as well. Saturn supporting from the second house of earnings to the fourth house of property, home, land, real estate, and legacy wealth could bring an inheritance to you. It really could. Now, Mercury rules your house of chunky money, including tax rebates, inheritances, and stock investments. All of those could be involved here. Going back over old ground, old inheritance money comes back to you that no one gave you because no one knew you were on the list, or some stock that you thought was dead in the water. I own some WISE token and it's connected to ETH, and I got to liberate that. I don't even know how. So there's that story as well. Maybe I'll finally figure it out during Mercury retrograde and take my WISE token ETH off the table. I mean, I bought the ETH at $700 so at least I should be able to stake it. It's staked for 2 years for interest, make a profit. So I'm giving you an example, right? Messages and news Mercury fourth house from family of origin people could be coming through, phone calls, emails, maybe from mom or dad, important information or news about them, maybe exciting or surprising with Uranus there. But also when it comes to property and real estate, it's exciting and surprising as well. Who knows, I'm living in a house that I hope my landlady will let me push forward and renew the lease by it ends in mid-July, and that those developments could take place during this transit. Also, there's a strong possibility that Saturn in the second house of food and elimination of what you eat or drink that isn't good for you, Mercury in the fourth house gives you a sense of going back and doing some kind of home-based detox program or home-based food, substance abuse redo, program. I joined a group called Sober Sisters years ago for 3 weeks, and it was really fun. And then I joined a longer program with Sober Sisters, lovely lady who runs it, and enjoyed that. So, for someone like me who can't stop drinking my wine because I love it so much, I could do something like that. And that's, I'd be really clear. It's not like I'm drinking 2 bottles of wine a night. It's just I love my wine with dinner, and it's a sunny day, and I'm going to have a Chardonnay on the deck despite saying I was going to drink any wine for 3 days. Oh, you got to be in my world, guys. You really do. Finally, last thing I'll say, Pluto is entered our house, right? We Aquarians feel this. This is important. We are leading humanity in Aquarian matters. And did I hit the Yeah, I am recording. Sorry, I am back. Yeah, hit the like button, guys. So, there's a lot to be said with this Pluto part of it. I didn't talk about it for anybody else because it's only important to the Aquarius rising people. But, Saturn owns the real estate where Pluto's sitting, and he's in your second house. This is one reason a lot of Aquariuses are going to get effing rich over the next 20 years. But during this window of the retrograde with the Saturn-Mercury hookup, it can be about a wealth transit. So really pay attention to what might be going on to power you up around greater wealth. April 5, 6, May 12th, and May 19th. Okay, just keep that in mind, especially with Venus, a money goddess, and a money luck house. A lot of you are going to have some significant financial pop during this time. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, in your story, you've got this transit of, well, look at the stellium in your third house, but Mercury retrograde, April 21 to May 14th. In your third house, trips, travel, journeys, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, childhood friends, and maybe local neighborhood things as well as the online virtual neighborhood that you may inhabit. Mercury likes to write. Taurus is not necessarily a writing sign, but he's in a writing house, communicating house. And so would you be going back over some kind of writing project, some kind of online project, retrograding, going back over old ground, going back to travel to a place that's familiar to you, that you've been before? Definitely a Mercury retrograde is a travel god because he's a patron protectors of travel. So a lot of you between April 21st and May 14th may plan or take a trip, and you're going back over old ground, but you've got some support from Mercury to make that trip happen. If you're looking for a greater sense of ability to stabilize, make concrete and real your dreams and wishes that you have been incorporating into your life and thinking about, maybe this is that far back as 2011, that's Saturn's job to help bring Neptune in the next 3 years, dreams and wishes, tangible, resourceful in your life. This is an important transit of Mercury, because this is the first time Mercury's talked to Saturn in Pisces in 30 years, right? So there's things that could come through here, through things you're learning, education is third house, or teaching, or trips you're taking, or activities you're doing in the local neighborhood that are going to inform how you're able to bring greater tangible structure to the things you wish to experience, dream, imagine, make real in your life. Siblings that you haven't heard from in a long time, but I haven't heard from my sister or brother in ages. Well, you could. I mean, you could get more communications, especially if you've been offline with a sibling. Mercury retrograde means a sibling reaches out to you. I have a Pisces rising friend whose brother hasn't talked to him for a while. I bet you any money the brother will get in touch with him during that period of time. And so we're talking about April 21st to May 14th. Are you a Pisces sun, moon, and rising? Around 15 degrees. More importantly, you feel this more strongly and more likely you'll get a sibling reaching out. If you are 5 degrees sun, moon, and rising in Pisces, then the station forward May 14th has more impact. Pay attention to April 5th, May 12th, and May 19th, regards to travel, themes of travel. And I say May 5th, give or take a few days on your side. Same with 12th and 19th. Travel, journeys, trips, local neighborhood events, skills-based learning, online world. Your workaday day, your everyday stuff, your daily habits. Things are changing because you're going back over something during the 21st of April to May 14th. Venus is the lord of the exalted moon that is happening on the day of the station into retrograde motion. She's in the property, land, home, and real estate, family, legacy, wealth, money. She flows to your 8th house of stocks, investments, and taxes. And some of that gets some kind of yay boost through that Mercury retrograde. But more importantly, you could be finding Venus 4th house, connecting to a home you love, finding a home you love, traveling to a home you love, traveling back to your homeland. These are stories and finding great joy and pleasure, taking a romantic trip back to a home or a place you've been before. Venus exalts the house of you. She's the exaltation planet for your Pisces identity. And she's definitely, she's in charge of that exalted moon that's happening in your 3rd house. And she's connected to home. Long story short, over the next 6 months, some of you are finding a new home. Second, from the exalted moon. And second of all, there's mutual reception between Mercury and Venus. So they're talking to each other. So trips and travel may connect to home or property or real estate or land. Those themes are maybe very active in the short term, like April 21st to May 14th. Saturn can make you really focus on being physically healthy. And if you don't listen, you could be having health challenges over the next 3 years. Just know that, right? And there's just something I want to say is that, the moon is about what brings us comfort, and it's exalted. It could go over the top, and Venus is pleasures in the home. So just watch you don't overindulge as a Pisces rising in any kind of home-based pleasures, right? They could undo your stability of your health. For the most part, though, Mercury is trying to shore it up. So you could read a book, take a class, do some education online or in like the real hold a book world, and that could really support you to stabilize and form better health habits and patterns, basically. All right, I hope that was useful, Pisces rising, sun and moon. If you're new to my channel and you have yet to connect with me by hitting the like button, subscribing, please consider doing so. I'd appreciate it. Check out all of the things in my description box below. I did pitch the Aura app earlier. It's the shortest pitch I've ever done. I didn't even hold up my phone to show it to you. I'm just supporting them as a brand ambassador during the month of April because I love the app. I do not brand support anybody unless I think it's worth your time. Free trial. If you like it and want to continue, it's 25% off the subscription using my link below. Try it. Don't like it, don't subscribe, right? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I'm wearing some cool jewelry, but I realized because of the backdrop, right? This is a birthday gift I got from my Pisces soulmate. And it's so beautiful. So beautiful. So everyone, please hit my like button. Please subscribe. Please have an amazing Mercury retrograde and enjoy the rest of this Taurus Mercury transit that ends on June 11th. I'll go watch my longer video about the big meaning of the transit. And I wish you guys all the best. Mwah.